Oh, yeah, we are live on a Sunday morning. Most of us up early watching this epic game between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to the closing line. It is Sunday morning. We got an hour to go over all the games that are coming up here this afternoon, provide some information, some late-breaking moves, who's in, who's out. This is the time that we like. To be a lot of fun. And I will be running a solo mission today here on the show on the closing line. Big Man on campus, out there watching the game, probably imbibing in some brewskis, I would assume, some sausages, sausage and peppers, maybe some moon pies out there. So we'll see what happens when he gets back. But we are now live. Welcome in 52 people already waiting in the chat box, ready to go. Come in and say hello when you get some time. But we will dip into a couple things here. As I said, got the whole card to go over. Since it's only a one-man show, I'll spend a lot of the time here in the chat box so we can go back and forth and have a good time. And also any questions or comments that you have about what games. We're going to be sure to hit every single game here on the card. So you don't have to worry about that. And it does make it easier when there's only one person because we can quickly get through those games, maybe have some time at the end. But we are going to be watching this Philadelphia Eagles-Jacksonville Jaguars game to see how this wraps up. Because once again, good morning, everybody coming in here. Big Dad, Frank Rizzo, Brian S., Jake Farmer, Patrick Summerlink. Watching this football game, right? It just goes to show you when you're trying to bet totals, right? You say, you know what? Looking at this game, Eagles, not the biggest high-powered offense. You figure Jacksonville's going to get back in touch on defense. And Blake Bortles is a terrible quarterback. They don't have many weapons. The Eagles have a decent defense. So you play, let's just say, the under this situation. Closes at 44.5. You say, you know what? I'll take that. This game is a stone-cold under all the way. And yet here you are with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter and 39 total points on the board. Isn't that amazing? I mean, honest to goodness, isn't that amazing? It's watching Blake Bortles dump it off here. So it looks like it's going to set up a 3rd and short for the Jacksonville Jaguars, about 9 minutes again. But just gets back to the point. In today's NFL and almost like in today's sports, like games, they're just not designed to stay under. I mean, you have a great drive by the Philadelphia Eagles before the half to put up a touchdown on a crazy play by Carson Wentz. But outside that, not much offense in the first half. And then all of a sudden they start pouring it on right now. And also, let's get into a little bit before we get into the football games of analytics run wild again, folks, right? What those Jacksonville Jaguars sneaky out there, going for 2 in the third quarter, real sneaky. Now you find yourself down 9 instead of 8 in the fourth quarter. So it's a 2-possession game instead of 1. Jaguars just hit a big play to TJ Yeldon. And he's going to take this ball down to the 20-yard line. So we'll see if they can score it here. Hopefully the Eagles, well, just for me, can keep them out of the end zone here. We don't have to sweat this one out like you typically do in every NFL game. But look at this. You know what I mean? If Jacksonville cashes this touchdown in inside the 20, the game goes over. And it had no business. The tone wasn't for any over. Nobody should be running up and down the field here. You know, bad, slick turf out there. But it just seems like every single time you bet, that's what happens here. Best bet of the day, Joe says the Bears. And we'll see about that. Chiefs down to 9. You get a lot of line movements on Sunday morning. You know, some people try to scalp some lines, and that's too much. Or the line got up just a little bit higher, or fading the public, or doing this and that. So, I mean, you get a lot of that stuff here on Sunday mornings, but it looks like the Jacksonville Jaguars are inside the 10, maybe a flag here. I don't see what that flag was actually for, if that was a personal foul or whatever. I don't see it, but we'll see what happens here. If Jacksonville Jaguars are able to cash in here, that's going to be an interesting game as we go down the stretch, because the Eagles will, be up by, 2 points? I guess you're going to hold it by. It is a personal foul in the foot of the Eagles. Bovada's still hanging. Denver plus 10 crazy. Yeah, do your shopping out there. I mean, look, we are sportsbookreview.com. Get as many books as possible, because the one thing that I live in New Jersey, which is wonderful, because there's application after application after application after application that you can use. You can also use locals, and then also all of a sudden, also the offshore market as well. 5 dimes. I use that a lot. Bet online as well. A lot of things you can go up against, because certain lines aren't out there on every single sports book. And you can gain some interest. Bovada, look, posting some of those ridiculous lines. Sometimes 5 dimes a little bit off. I know I use DraftKings in New Jersey, and typically in NFL, you're going to catch 1 or 2 lines that you can't probably get in 9 out of 10 books offshore that you can get. So can't ever stress that enough. Find your books out there that you would like to use, and we'll certainly have some fun here. Let's see. Great point. Let's say the chat box out there. And Fam D, Frank, Jay the Gifted, Steve Muir, and M.O. Billy's Exotic Dancing checking in here. M Fam, David McCall, D, M.O. Adam. What's good, everybody? So let's dip into this card. I'm sure that we'll keep you updated and posted on those Jacksonville Jaguar games there. Let me just get a couple retweets here that we are live so we can get shifted out here and have some fun. All right. Everybody, I mean, look, I'm an old man as it is, so it's no surprise to me that I'm up extremely early in the morning getting ready for these games anyway. So, All right, we'll send that out directly there, and we'll see what takes place here. All right, let's get into the football card here today, folks. We got a nice, strong card to look at, and we'll go right down the rotation as usual. Any questions or comments, please feel free to chat in, and we'll certainly get over it there. 253, 254, Cleveland and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Baker Mayfield and Ben Roethlisberger going to tee it up, and nope, drop the touchdown pass for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So 4th and goal, the Eagles hold on so they get a field goal. Love it, love it, love it. I know the big man on campus, my partner here, is on the Eagles -3 in this football game. So that was a big play because now you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars absolutely need a touchdown on their next drive. So that's a nice stop there if you had the Eagles. And again, maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars would have been going for this if they're only down 8 points instead of 9. We'll see what happens there. Pittsburgh got some line movement in this game. You saw it open up, 7.5 in that range during the week, spiked up like 8, 8.5. Looks like it's steady across the board. You're getting some -8.5 bet online, showing a -8.5, -107, and also Chris showing a -8, 108. So they're going to differentiate across the board, but it's going to stay over a touchdown, obviously, until we get closer to game time. Not much windy conditions or rainy conditions that you're going to have to worry about in Pittsburgh that we're going to take a look at some other spots here in the NFL to keep an eye on. But what do you like most about this football game? You got a rested Pittsburgh team. I think they're hitting their stride. If you remember me talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, I was a buyer on them for the division weeks ago, even before they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. It's just only a matter of time for them actually getting healthy, rested, and ready. That defense looks like it's going to be up to full capabilities. And also, more importantly here, the offense is rested and should be able to get after it. You saw last week another overtime game for the Cleveland Browns. So I don't know how rested they're going to be for this one. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You play on overtime. It's not even home. You play on overtime in the road in the heat. You got to fly home. Then you got to go up and play a division rival on the road. Most people say, hey, look, 8-7 on the road. It's division. You take the points. I hear you on that there, but there are some extenuating circumstances. I thought the Steelers really outplayed opening game, the Cleveland Browns, but that game was in the pouring rain. Didn't work out so well. James Conner really technically, quote unquote, getting his feet wet in that game in the rain. Did play well, but did have a key fumble at the end of the game that did open up the door for the Cleveland Browns to come back and end up actually getting that push or getting the actual tie in that game. But that was certainly interesting to watch. But in this game, look, I think Pittsburgh overall is the better team. I don't think there's any question about that. We'll see if they can hang around. But no longer is it you're just going to be able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on defense. Joe Hayden's back and healthy. Morgan Burnett's going to be back healthy for this football game. You have a nasty pass rush. You have an offensive line that is decent for the Cleveland Browns. But where are you going with the football? Are you going? I say it all week. You going to Jarvis Landry 12 times for 38 yards, what he usually gets, 2.2 yards per catch, whatever he has. There's not really a big play threat on that team anymore. Josh Gordon had a nice catch in the opening game for a touchdown. He's not there anymore. So you don't have much to actually move the football down. I think the Steelers will move the football and score, but it's always up in the air. You saw last week. I mean, Cleveland was getting bombed down in Tampa Bay. I think they're down 16-2 at one point, down double digits for most of the game. But we're able to sneak through the back door in that one and push the game to overtime, which they ended up losing by a field goal in that one. Big Worm, Donnie writes, do you like the Giants and Washington game to go over 44? Look, not very good defense from the New York Giants, and we'll get to that game. And, you don't have a great offense for the Washington Redskins, but you're seeing these games, man. If they're in the 40s, you're just taking a flyer on the over. Because unless it's a stone cold, 13-7 game, it's probably going to go over. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars Jacksonville Jaguars Eagles game. That's a dead nuts under, and looks like it's going to fly over the total. So we'll see what happens here as it goes down the stretch. Big Dad 130. I think the Steelers were embarrassed from the last game they played, and they will win this game. And they should win the game at home. I mean, they damn near beat. Obviously, they didn't. They get a tie week 1, but they damn near beat the Cleveland Browns each and every time they play them. Comic Ricky, what's up, man? What's going on out there? Cleo Mack out for C-Mac. Yep, we'll go over there. Arthur Meade Jr., welcome in. But getting back to this game, over under 48, it seems a little bit high to me. Now, I do stress to say, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be able to score some points in this game, and I know that Cleveland overall technically doesn't want to shoot it out unless you're playing maybe the Raiders and you go to overtime and you pile up a lot of yardage out there. But it doesn't lend it. It's a division game. It's one of the hard, regardless if there's 5, 10, 15-mile-an-hour winds out there in Pittsburgh, it's still one of the hardest stadiums in the NFL to kick field goals in, so that might come into it. But I would lean on the under in that spot, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are good enough to win this game. But hey, look, if it's a 10 or 14-point game late, can Baker Mayfield sling it a little bit where maybe Pittsburgh doesn't really care at that point and score? Sure, they did it last week, but the Steelers are a better defense at this moment than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. So you got to have that. You got to have that down the stretch. BMOC sweat and feel. Yeah, you sweat every game in the NFL, it seems like, right? I mean, there's very rare games where you just sit back and say, boy, This one's really going to be an easy one. You stress out just like in college football. That's just the way it is, man. When you think everything is legitimate, when you think everything is tied up and locked and loaded, all hell breaks loose at the end of the game because you're remembering a lot of times you're not really just betting the team to win the game. You got to cover the line. Sometimes the game is wrapped up, but the line is not. And you see what happens there. There are professional athletes here, but the Eagles are setting up the 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line, probably trying to run the clock. Oh, no, it's a fumble. And there you go. Jacksonville Jaguars get the football back. So when you have rookie running backs instead of really good players, that's what happens there. So now the sweat will continue. And Jacksonville now is back live for a field goal here, which it is a 6-point game. So you're hoping the Eagles can hold on. But that's it. Look, it's been the Eagles' MO all year. Double digits in the second half. You just can't hang on. You're just trying to run the clock. And that's what it is. Let's keep it moving here, folks. 255, 256, Denver and Kansas City. Case Keenum, Patrick Mahomes. Line opens up around 10, 9.5. You're getting some buyback, and I agree with it. We talked on the shows earlier this week on the Audible, what you liked and didn't like about these two football teams. What you like about Denver is they do have 3 capable wide receivers. If Case Keenum can give you a decent game back there, a quarterback, which he should be able to, not going against an elite defense without many elite pass rushers or elite secondary, you should be able to counter fire with Kansas City. Now, the one thing you're going to have a problem with is Kansas City's going to score on everybody. But if you saw the Monday Night Football game a couple weeks ago, it's pretty close in that game when you were actually going over the game. You can argue that the Denver Broncos should have won that. Now you see Kansas City a second time, but it is on the road. And you had a little bit of extra time to prepare. You played a Thursday night football game in Arizona. You waffled them 45-10. You get a couple good vibes back. The last game you played before that was the Los Angeles Rams at home. No shame in losing by 3 points, but you're getting almost double digits down to 8.5. I agree with the buyback. Over under seems a little bit low. Opens up at 55.5, goes down to 53. But I guess that's just what Case Keenum will do to you because there are some plays to be made that he doesn't make. And when you're going to hit a game that's going to have to go over, for all intents and purposes, mid-50s or higher to get it, you need some stellar quarterback play. But I do lean the Denver Broncos this one as opposed to laying that 8.5 with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a really good offense. There's no question about it. But if you're not bringing the lumber on defense, maybe late in the football game, you can get through the back door. You say, well, wait, Donnie, last week, I saw Cincinnati go on the road and just get absolutely pasted 45-10. Cincinnati was in a terrible spot last week. This is a pretty good spot for the Denver Broncos, albeit it's on the road and a tough place to play, but it is the division rival that you did have extra time to prepare for this football game. You should be the more rested team here because after that game, 10 days, you fly home and everything looks good and you're getting rested and ready. You can actually sit back on Sunday Night Football and watch Kansas City, and you played them already. So there won't be too many surprises that Big Red's going to be able to throw out there, but that's an interesting one. I would lean taking the points in that one. So I would lean with the Denver Broncos getting the 8.5. Over under 53. Look, I'm not in the business of taking an under with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I think the Denver Broncos should be able to return fire. I don't think there's going to be one of these, let's just play keep away from Kansas City, because if Kansas City gets out 14-0, you're going to have to try to catch up and get after them quickly. So that's an interesting game. But those are the two ways I would lean in that one. 257, 258, New York Jets and the Chicago Bears. Darnold and Trubisky in this football game. A lot of injuries. Allen Robinson's going to sit this one out for Chicago Bears. So is Khalil Mack. Now I have a question for you folks out there. I saw the line coming down, spiked up to around 9. Now you're looking at 8 at Chris, minus 8.5, plus 102 at Pinnacle, minus 8.5 at Intertops. That line was like 9.5 early this morning. Are we telling me out here that people were actually looking at this football game and said, I'm going to wait till the inactives come out to see if Khalil Mack plays? He's been pretty inefficient the last 2 football games overall. Can we agree with that? So he sits out this game. Was that the reason why you were saying, I can't take the Chicago Bears, Khalil Mack's out? He's not even healthy at this point right now, which I thought was interesting. But I think more adds into the equation here. The New York Jets are extremely banged up. They have nothing at wide receiver. They're down to 1 running back. Chicago Bears should be able to tee off. But when you're looking at overall points in this game, Allen Robinson does sit out for the Chicago Bears. They still have enough weapons to move the football around. But if you're going to get, 20, 25, 30 mile an hour blowing around winds in this one, that's going to change a couple things up. Maybe the Chicago Bears can't hit a deep ball that maybe somebody was open on. Maybe their field goal kicker is going to miss a field goal, at times. Just getting a quick update here in the Eagles game. Looks like they got the overturn on that fumble, but they will be punting anyway for about 5 minutes. So we'll see if Blake Bortles can go down and punch in a last-second touchdown like has been so many times against my Philadelphia Eagles. But that's some interesting stuff there. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, though. I thought the line swing, because not a lot changed. I mean, Allen Robinson was known to be banged up this week. Khalil Mack was, if he was going to play, and you saw the reports, if he was going to play, would be on some sort of like snap count and not going to be 100%. I don't think that's going to factor in there. So even with that line drop, I think the Bears are overall the better team. If you watched last week, take away against the New England Patriots, 2 special team touchdowns. They walk away easy with the victory versus the New England Patriots in that game. So I still think they're good enough to cover. Chris is at -8. If you can get something under double digits, I think they can handle that. Sam Darnold, rookie, going on the road, didn't look too efficient last week, and that was with Robbie Anderson, who got injured late in the week. Now he's going to be down in this football game. I just don't see a lot of Jets scoring in this one, where I think the Bears would have the upper hand and the advantage in that one. So we'll stick with it that way. 259, 260. Here's one of the more interesting games of the week, folks. I think if we can all agree, right? You're looking at the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants, and you're saying, white flag on one side. Snacks Harrison gone. Alec Ogletree's injured. Eli Apple's gone. Who really wants to play here? We're 1-6. Season's basically over. Everybody just, the Eagles knocked us out of the box. Washington Redskins, 2 tough victories at home, now going on the road. But the problem here for the Washington Redskins is, yes, they are going on the road. Let me just get an update here. All right, looks like Jacksonville has the ball back. Going on the road, which they haven't been on the road too much. They played Arizona opening day on the road. I mean, congratulations, you beat the Arizona Cardinals. Then you went out on the road versus New England Saints and just got your backs broke. I mean, you got routed in that game. Last week, you had a nice win over interdivision Dallas Cowboys, but you really couldn't move the football around that much. The one thing that's going to happen in this game, which I said all week long, is Giants should be able to move the football here. You're also down Dunbar, which is a key injury in the secondary, who most would say is your best cornerback, even over Josh Norman. Let's see that here. Incomplete pass, 3rd and 1 now for the Jaguars. But getting back to the Redskins game, you're down one of your best cornerbacks. So, the one thing that the New York Giants can do, if, it's a big if, Eli Manning gets some time, but you should be able to abuse that secondary with those good wide receivers and Evan Ingram down the middle, see if Saquon Barkley can do anything. But you do have a formidable front 7 for the Washington Redskins. But that line has stunk all week, folks. 71% of the wagers coming in on the Washington Redskins, -1 still across the board. Those numbers aren't moving that much. I know the Giants actually were to pick them, maybe even a -1 at a couple spots early in the week. The over-under at 42. It opens up. That now sitting at 44, which is really interesting when you take a look, because now you have the cornerback down. I'm not a big believer in the Washington Redskins offense, but the Giants aren't very good on defense. The one thing that you want is Eli Manning to go boom or bust here today, right? Throw the ball 35 times. Maybe a strip sack fumble, maybe he throws an interception, but he gets maybe 3 touchdown passes versus the Washington Redskins, because they're going to throw. The pressure's off for the Giants. Their season is done. Maybe some of those wide receivers are looking for stats at this point, and you're down a couple defenders on defense. So theoretically, if you have a game in the low 40s, this one probably would set up decent. But then again, when you have ultimate dink dunk Alex Smith, if there's a one-on-one play to be made downfield, he ain't throwing it. And let's watch this 4th and 1 right here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Might decide the football game. Eagles get good pressure. Bortles going to roll out of pocket. He's going to run with that and get the first down. And he gets 2 yards, so they extend the game. 4:19 left in this one. All right, but now back to this Giants game. What's your opinions out there? I know a lot of people are loading up on the Redskins. I just don't care what happens in that football game. I just think it's going to be a blowout one way, either or another. But these are the tough games in the NFL, man. 29% of the public backing around that 30% level, the New York Giants. I just think it's sneaky here. I just think it's sneaky for the Giants. They're not a very good football team. Everybody's already counting them out, but I don't know how well that the Washington Redskins can score the football overall. So when you're saying hey, the Washington Redskins need something, it's not so easy for them to go downfield. You can't abuse the defense for the New York Giants the way most teams can, getting after with a big downfield performance. They don't have wide receivers. They're a lot banged up. It's nice that they're getting Chris Thompson back out of the backfield. Adrian Peterson really banged up, but I don't think they want to slow the game down. But the Redskins just seem to play. I mean, outside of the New Orleans game where they just got bounced, they just play like a slow down game where you really can't pull away from. So I think the Giants actually might be in this one, and we'll see what happens. Blake Bortles over the middle, incomplete. Looks like we're going to have another 3rd and 2 with 3:45 left. But I'm staying away from this football game. The sharpness in me just says, dude, take the Giants. It's a stone cold Giants line. But there is something to be said about a football team that's 1-6 and a bad team versus another team that seems to be able to play close football games when there are close football games we had and win those. But look, sharpness in me says the Giants, but I don't have a wager on that one either way. Donnie, saw your tweet on Dunbar, how much I changed the game. It's big, KJ. It's big. Because most will tell you he's their best cornerback. And if you're down a cornerback against Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard, that is going to be a problem, because now some of those deeper routes become effective. And a batted ball, so you're going to get another 4th down play here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's see if my Eagles can hold up. Giants can't pass. You're right, Robert Barton. Something is amiss. Last week they did throw for over 300 yards after that first half where Eli Manning looked like he was about to be put in a wheelchair and scared. So some interesting stuff in that one. But look, If I'm going any way in that one, I would just stay sharp with the Giants because, again, it's hard to win on the road. Redskins haven't been on the road all that much, and when they go on the road, the only formidable team that actually played bounced them, but they did beat a horrific Arizona team. 4th and 2 here. We'll call this one live. Jacksonville already converted a 4th down earlier, 3:41 for all intents and purposes. Probably the last drive of the game. Boom, incomplete. All right, Birds, way to go. I know the big man out there is cheering right now because that is a big time. So you got two timeouts for the Jacksonville Jaguars, 3:36. So you need 1 first down for the Philadelphia Eagles to sort of tighten this one up. And look at that. Look at that over under, folks. 44 points, I believe, right now. What do we got here? 42 points. I can't do math right here. 40. So it's not going to go over the total. How about that, man? 44.5 sitting there. Now not going to go over. That's a tough one to swallow, but you should have stayed under, right? Am I agree? Like we should have stayed under the total anyway. Well, we'll see if the Eagles can drive down because you never know. Maybe Jake Elliott goes out there and blasts a 48-yarder with like 36 seconds on the go and knocks it off to get to that 45 number. But the over-under was 44.5. Philadelphia Eagles take over on the 47-yard line, looking to salt the clock away. But as you know, if you're the Eagles in this spot, you need a first down, right? You need a first down. Bill Parcells' school of thumb says run the 3 times and make them use their timeouts, but you're still going to give Jacksonville the football back with all intents and purposes over 2 minutes or right around the 2-minute warning. And I mean, that's a lot of time in the NFL. So if you're the Eagles, you have to make sure you get a first down. Even if you threw like 3 incomplete passes trying for the first down, to me, with 3.5 minutes to go, it's worth it. If there's 1:40 on the clock, no. You run it all 3 times and punt it because you'd be under the 2-minute warning. I think you have to stay aggressive in this situation. Read option, maybe get Wentz out of the pocket where it's a run or throw that he can make. But I do agree you have to get after this. We'll call this live here. 2nd and 10, 24-18 on the clock. And we'll see what takes place. And then we'll dip into the next game. Another good one there between the Seattle Seahawks and the Detroit Lions. Kind of interesting. We get the live football game here early in the morning that we can call and go over. There is the RPO option with Wentz out of the pocket. Elects to throw first down. There you go. See, that's how you do it. Now what you can do is get a little bit more conservative because that clock is going to run. Looks like Jacksonville probably is going to spend their last timeout, I believe, or I think they might have 1 timeout left. But that's money. That's exactly how you do it, though. You give a run-pass option, which if you get the right look, you're going to roll out of the pocket, makes a nice throw over the middle inbounds, and you keep those chains moving. Yes, Summer, like now you run, because now the odds swing in your favor, burn all those timeouts, run it under 2 minutes, and say, look, if Blake Bortles can go downfield and end up, doing us dirty, then he's going to do you dirty. Maybe even you run for a first down, the game's over. But it looks like Jacksonville is out of timeouts with 3:23. Now you hand the football off 3 straight times and just end the game here. Correct. You guys are right. Yep. That's exactly how you do it. Good job, big man. So that's going to swing the anvil in our direction there and for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. Let's just see what they do here. It's probably going to be a couple runs. There is a run up the middle. And not much, but they'll probably run it down. Let's get after this stuff here and see what happens here. Seattle and Detroit, 261, 262. Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, 57% of the public actually back into Seattle here. They liked what they saw in London the week before, getting a little bit of time off, coming home. Looks like it opened up 2.5 for the most part of the week, but you're getting some money here coming on to Detroit. Even though it's 43% of the bets are coming on Detroit, that line is now -3, -115 at most outlets out there. BetOnline actually has -3, -122. So maybe looking for a move to get to 3.5. I got to tell you, it's 3.5. You might be leaning a little bit there and maybe climb on back of Seattle because they're going to be tough in this game. But I gave out the play early in the week, and I'll stick with it here as well. Over under now looks like it's 48 at some spots. As healthy as the defenses are getting, and that's a first down by the Eagles, that game is now over, and the Philadelphia Eagles have covered. Way to go. But no, looking at this game here, I like the over because if you're going to get Snacks Harrison on defense, it's going to slow down the run. If you're going to have a healthier Seattle defense up front, KJ Wright coming back as a linebacker to play with Bobby Wagner in the middle, that's going to help out. You get a little bit healthy over the break for Seattle. Nick Vannett comes back, maybe a little bit of help at tight end. You got your wide receivers, another couple weeks there to be rested. I think there's going to be points. I think it's going to be an air show. How's the way that you attack the Seattle defense? Do you want to just run up the middle all game long? No. You got Matthew Stafford. You got Kerryon Johnson. I mean, he should be able to get some yards. We have 3 nice weapons at wide receiver that you could pick apart that defense and really get after the secondary. And Russell Wilson's in a dome. Russell Wilson's on turf. Russell Wilson's going to make plays. So they should be fine as well. Both these teams playing into the 20s should be able to get home at that 48. I like the over in this football game, but I'm not going to lie. If that gets to a 3.5, you can grab a 3.5 out there. That's kind of interesting there. So we'll see what happens there. Oakland at home or no play. That's a tough one. We'll get to that one there. It's because some interesting outlying angles. Paco Healy, BMSC thinks about fading the world and taking Oakland. Thoughts? Look, it's hard because, like, wouldn't you have done the same thing, though? Wouldn't you have faded the world today and took the Jacksonville Jaguars? You know? You say, oh, my God, they're punching each other in the mouth. They're getting arrested in bars. Everybody lining up on the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, wouldn't you just faded the world? Because when you have a fractured locker room, to me, which we'll go over that game in a little bit, it's hard for me to get involved with that team because you actually don't know what you're going to get out of. The home team dog, everybody likes the other side. Yes. I mean, we see that a lot. But the white flag is up in there. Like, everybody's for sale. Not really sure if this is the right quarterback for me. You know, say what you want, but somebody's chirping in the locker room that Derek Carr is not their quarterback and they don't like him and he cries. It's hard to get involved with a fractured situation because you don't actually know what type of effort you're going to get on the field. If these guys know they might not be here, everybody's for sale, they're going to go into self-preservation mode, and maybe they don't run their head into the middle of the pile to stop a 3rd and 1, and you get the first down as opposed to being able to stop it. That's always my interesting thing, but we'll cover that game in just a few moments. Eagles lining up in victory formation, which is always nice to see. Eagles getting the victory now. Hopefully can get rested up for the second half of the schedule. That's a big win for the Eagles to go 4-4, and we'll see if they can play their way into the NFC East and see what can take place down the race. So, yeah, fading the world is a quick way to bankruptcy. Chip's exactly right on that. And it just would take a little bit because we have a lot of time today to spend, which is good. You know, when you're looking at that stuff like getting in there and like fading the public, if it was just that easy, sportsbooks wouldn't be available out there because everybody would just sit back and say, well, who's the public going? Let's go the other way. Now, do I agree with fading the public? Not just on script. You can't just say, look, the public just likes it this way and it makes no sense, so I'm just going to go against it. You can't technically do that. But there are games that you can pick out with like some high numbers and try to get in and behind it and say, you know what? What makes sense? What does the public see? And how can I build a case against the public? You know, can we run the football, or does this team struggle on the road, or are they a little bit more banged up than what most people think, or is there going to be a key injury in situations, or is it windy conditions, or this guy hasn't played well in the rain, or they're going from a dome to outdoors? You can't just, sight unseen fade the public, but you can take that as part of some of the knowledge that you like and say the public likes this way. Let me see if I can find a way to take the other team. If you're just finding a way to take the other team because everybody likes one side, yes, you will become bankrupt because steam moves, line moves, public moves. That's 50-50 stuff, man. There's no rhyme or reason. So you're telling me you're betting a football game because you think somebody knows more than you who already bet the football game, and that's why the line moved? Like, if you want to follow people on Twitter or, spend money on picks, that's one thing. But if you're just looking at like a line move and saying, you know what? That line's moving for a reason. Let me just take it. 50-50 at best, man. It's like a dog chasing a car out there. Sometimes the dog will chase the car and have fun down the street. Other times, dog chase the car and end up getting run over. So good luck with how you end up actually doing that. Let's keep it moving. But in that Detroit-Seattle game, we'll wrap that one up there. If you can get 3.5, I think Seattle's a decent side in that one, rested and ready. But I actually do like the 4, even though the line's not going in my direction. So maybe I should just take the under. Opened up at 49, now sitting at 48 at Chris. I still like the over. 24-24, that's how I like to break it down. Can you at least get 24 out of both teams here? I think they can both do that and see what happens, even though both defenses technically getting a little bit more healthy with some added components there. But I think the way you attack both of these teams, you're not going to have any weather. It's like, hey, Donnie, 25 mile an hour, wind, some rain. It's in a dome. Should get some nice field goal kicking situations, and that ball going deep, not going to flutter. So obviously no wind is going to play into it here. All right, let's take a look here and go over some other stuff that we have. Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, battle of injuries here. What do you like in this situation? Sean Jackson coming up saying he wants out of town. He doesn't want to be viable, or he doesn't want to play. All right, might factor into it there. But you have no Denard at cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals. The heart and soul of your team, which is amazing that the heart and soul of your team is a linebacker that cannot stay on the field. Vontaze Burfict, he's not going to play. Vigil's not going to play. The other starting linebacker has been out for a couple weeks now. Banged up all over the place. You got shelled last week. I mean, you got shelled at the Kansas City. Now, that Kansas City game was sort of a tough game, the spot to put them in. And now coming home and facing Tampa Bay. What's up with the Tampa Bay defense here? They can't defend anything. Quan Alexander, maybe your most athletic and playmaking linebacker, he's out for the year with a bum knee. Shame it's going to be in the contract year for him. Gerald McCoy's not going to play in this football game. Vinny Curry's not going to play in this football game. JPP's banged up. He will give it a go in this game. No excuses for Cincinnati here today not to be able to go up and down the field on that Tampa Bay team. How do you attack Tampa Bay? Cleveland couldn't do it that well, but you need a big-time weapon at wide receiver. Boyd should be able to be a viable option at number 2 here. We'll see what Mixon can give you, but Dalton should have his way today and be able to throw the football and vice versa. And Tampa Bay is going to score a lot of points on a lot of teams. They have the exact capabilities. If Jameis Winston can stay upright and roll around in that pocket, he's got endless weapons. Some of the best wide receiver weapons in the entire National Football League at every position. You got Godwin as a 3, Deshaun Jackson as a 2, Mike Evans as a 1, O.J. Howard, a monster fast tight end over the middle, a little scat guy, who's wide open, which would be Humphreys, the little white guy. They got it all. There should be some points in this football game. The only thing that would, it's 55.5 though. Because it's outdoor, it's on the road for Tampa Bay. A little bit cooler conditions than they're used to. Maybe some showers there, but as the game progresses on, there is going to be some windy conditions at the end, and that's where you always get a little bit nervous. Like if you can end up in the fourth quarter and you need a field goal, but you're going in the wrong direction, it's from 48 yards, so you have to go for it, you can't kick it. Those are the type of stuff that gets me a little bit. Hard Sell Kid Donnie, do you play first touchdown? I do not. I'm not a good prop guy. You know what I mean? A lot of people out there I know that are very sharp with props, field goal kicking totals, guys with catches. That's just not my MO. I donate every single week to DraftKings and the Millionaire Maker. As you can see, I'm not a millionaire, so I'm not very good overall at that. And half the time, if I do cash, it's basically to get my $20 back, or maybe I get $50. But I'm not a prop guy. You have any props out there that you want to shoot out? Feel free to have it with the chat box. So 330 people in here. Got about, we'll spend another maybe 15, 20 minutes here on the show, get you out of here in time for those 1 o'clock games, maybe give out some free winners, see what we can do. But with just a couple more games that we can hit and go over. But this Tampa Bay game, looking at the line, isn't interesting though? Opens up at -6 at Pinnacle, -4.5 at Chris, now down to 3.5. And you know what? Again, like sometimes you just look at the lines, you say, I agree with it. What do you like out of Cincinnati here? Cincinnati got their heart broken against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Should have won that football game and lost. Got detonated on the road. This is a must-win for Cincinnati, but they're so banged up. Can they take care of business in this football game? Because I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to score. Can't you see this game come down to the end? 31-28, maybe a 31-24 game where Winston has the football trying to score and Cincinnati needs a stop. That's the way I can see it here. You just need a good game out of Andy Dalton in this one. Yeah, Jay the Gifted says 18-mile-an-hour wins in Cincinnati. Outdoor stadium, maybe an issue. Field goals, not the best. You saw Tampa Bay kicker missing. He did bang one deep late, but missed a couple kicks in that game. If you're going to have a little bit windy conditions out there, maybe you just don't, it's just not going to work out in your favor. 55.5 is a lot. We're not talking about 41, 42, 45, 47. 55.5 to hit that over-under. But I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to put up points. And I think Tampa Bay can stay within that. I honestly think Tampa Bay can stay within that number. I do. I really do think Tampa Bay can stay within a field goal because I'm not really impressed with Cincinnati. But you'll know a lot about that football game in the first quarter, which team's going to show up to play, because Cincinnati was shell-shocked last week, maybe coming home, maybe needing the victory. And what are we going to get out of Tampa Bay on that defense? Can you really get stops? Like, is it who's stopping A.J. Green back there? You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of things that we can go over. Other problems in Tampa, Jackson. Yeah, Jackson did request a trade, so he's probably angling to try to somehow get back to Philadelphia, which I really can't see that that's actually going to take place. Excuse me. But, there's not a lot of problems down there. Tampa Bay is going to get an honest effort from their quarterback because he's playing for a contract. He's playing for his NFL viability. And looks to be throwing the football pretty well since he's come back in this instance. Ron Walsack, Russell Wilson over 235. Stafford over 266. Already cashed Wentz over 265. I like that because Ron, what I was talking about all week long, is the way to attack both of those defenses, not necessarily just to hand it off and see what happens. I think you can get after both of their secondaries. Because Detroit, you're going to want to pass on that Seattle secondary. Oakland, sometimes you say, well, Donnie, Seattle, we gave up 3 points last week. Oakland was a dead team walking last week, man. That was an embarrassing display over across seas. So that was an interesting one to begin with. Let's keep it moving here, folks. Stay at 1 o'clock, 265, 266. Good football game here. Baltimore, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton here. Looks like about 57% are back in the home team. Carolina, nice win last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, getting thumped for 3.5 quarters. Come back out of nowhere and storm back to take the lead and end up winning that football game with a nice defensive stand in the red zone. Week before, same type of MO game where they were getting thumped for most of that ball game, but then come back at the end and actually had a shot to win, but lost the game by 6 points. Baltimore, as you saw last week, a tough loss there. Missed an extra point at the gun versus, I think, is one of the better football teams in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints right now. They are playing really good football. Cam Newton, the question all during the week, how rested and ready is he? Throwing shoulder, that right shoulder banged up. Ron Rivera saying that's not going to be an issue. He's still going to go in this football game. Don't worry about that. But you're going against pretty good defense here, and a hard-hitting defense. How can you get after this Baltimore defense? Torrey Smith's going to miss the football game. Not to say he was anything special in that team, but it is an extra deep threat that's not going to be there. You're going to try a lot of misdirection. This. And which one do you get out of Joe Flacco here? Do you get road Joe Flacco that looks really disinterested and the best play on the board always is just a pass interference downfield, but you got a little bit more weapons this year than you have at your disposal. This is going to be a tough, hard-fought football game. If you like the Baltimore Ravens, you have to love the fact they lost last week, and the same way with the Carolina Panthers. If you're betting the Baltimore Ravens, you have to love the fact that they came back and won last week, so you take a little bit of the pressure off. You couldn't come back in with yet another loss in a must-win situation, but Carolina does play pretty well at home. That's going to be a tough game. Opens up 43.5 as the over-under. Chris opened it up at 43.5 as well. Now sitting at 44. Some 44.5s out there showing up. So again, look, these games in the low 40s sometimes, they're not supposed to. Look, it's like that Eagles game. It almost looked like it took a miracle to stay under that total, and that was a deadpan under the whole game, Hal Abrams, Donnie, I love you guys. No disrespect, Eagles not going to make the playoffs this year. I think they make the playoffs because I think they're the best team in the NFC East. Are they going to do any damage in the playoffs? No. But does that change if, right tackle Lane Johnson is out for the year? We'll see if they make any trades. But I just don't believe in the division today. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are very good. I think the Redskins just shows you today. We'll see what the Redskins are made of. It's only a 1-point favorite at the Giants. So the Eagles just detonated in their previous 2 ball games ago on a Thursday night. We'll see what they're made of. I just don't see a lot. And again, the Giants are already out of it. So it's kind of interesting there. They're very banged up. You're right. But I think they could still make a run, as I said, in the NFC East. But I don't think they're really making a run through the Super Bowl because they just don't have enough and they are too banged up. Yes, I would 100% agree with that. Baltimore, Carolina, back to that game. The way you're going to beat Carolina, try to get after them, ball control. It's not going to be a ton of possessions. Guys aren't going to be going up and down the field. What Cam Newton do you get in this football game? The disinterested Cam? Or the Cam Newton that you saw in the fourth quarter where they were just ripping and running up and down the field and converting 4th and 10s out of nowhere. I think it was more luck last week that I think the Eagles gave that football game away more than Carolina actually stole it, and they got beat up in the week before as well. So some interesting factors in that game, but it should be a good one there. I mean, looking at what? -2.5 at Pinnacle, -114. Chris, -2.5. Looks like 2.5s across the board, and he had the same MO. Opened up at Pick'em. At Pinnacle, opened up at -1 in favor of Carolina Panthers early in the week, and then it shifted over to the Baltimore Ravens, similar to a couple weeks back when Baltimore went down on the road to play the Tennessee Titans in that game. Opened up around a Pick'em, closed around 3 for the Ravens, and they handled their business fairly easily in that football game. Kyle Hamburg in here. Welcome in. I knew you'd be happy after yesterday. Nice little Georgia victory down there. You don't have to go get all hot and bothered here. No Atlanta Falcons football to get you angry out. Junior Duane is running late, almost at the tailgate Raider Nation. When your team not performing on the field, you can still tell. That's absolutely correct. There's a lot of years here in the city of Philadelphia where the most action was going on in the stands and in the parking lot as opposed to the field. That's the one thing you can do if you are a Raiders fan. You show up. It's nice weather probably in Oakland today. You can live another day, have some fun out there. But also, I believe it's a big day for the Oakland Raiders because there's no more Oakland Athletics baseball, so we won't be kicking off the actual dirt today, folks. That's an innovation in itself. I can't tell you how many times I bet Raider games, and I'm just sweating it out because my field goal kicker has to make a 47-yarder off dirt, which is ridiculous in the NFL. But you will have you have sod over the infield and no longer have to kick on the dirt here. So congratulations, Oakland there. Donnie, you need to be smoking a cigar like Rush Limbaugh during these sessions. Got little fake ones here. Let's see if it still works. Hold on. Still works. A little vanilla flavored in there. So no wife can't get mad when you have the fake e-cigs or the e-cigars here. It's always a little trusty. We'll grab a couple. They're not that expensive. Like $20, $25. Last about a year. I mean, you get about 2,000, 3,000 puffs off those bad boys. So you can enjoy some fun inside. Next up here, folks, 4 o'clock. We're here. We got plenty of that 12:39, right on pace here. Indianapolis, Oakland. This is the game a lot of people are interested in. Luck versus Carr. What are you going to get out of either side? You like the way Indianapolis is playing. They're coming together. Who's playing for anything on Oakland? Coach doesn't really like the quarterback, it seems, even though they'll try to tell you repeatedly that he's in their plans for the future when I don't think he is. You're trading guys away. Amari Cooper, which I don't think he used correctly this year anyway. Marshawn Lynch, heart and soul type runner. Looked like he was, reborn at 25 years old this year. He's down, so they're going to lean on like the Jalen Richards and the muscle hamsters, Doug Martin. I think you're going to get a little bit of points in this football game. But look, I mean, it opens up at a pick 'em, and it goes right to, 2.5, 3 early in the week once you saw the shenanigans going on. And you're getting heavy juice also in Indianapolis, -3, -125, and most outlets out there to begin with. And it's another one. This is not a similar situation to me like the New York Giants, because I don't think the New York Giants, even though it's a new coach in New York, it's also a new coach in Oakland. I think they're under two different mindsets right now. You still have the veteran quarterback. They're probably not going to bench him. You don't have a very good football team, but you have some capable weapons, and you're at home against a division rival. Oakland, I just think, is just more about the future at this point. Would it surprise me if Oakland comes down as a good day on offense? No, because I don't think Amari Cooper, losing him at wide receiver, is that big of a deal. If Derek Carr just doesn't make the bone, and again, that's a lot to ask. If Derek Carr doesn't make the bonehead throw, because he does it every week. He just throws a fastball to the other team out of nowhere, like the other guy, linebacker, cornerback, is playing wide receiver for his team. I think there can be some points in this football game. It opens up at 51. You actually seen a little bit of dip down to 50.5, but look, this could be pretty big today. I'm telling you right now. There's been a lot of field goals missed over the years and this year already when you're snapping the ball and placing it down inside, when you're kicking between a 35 to 45-yard field goal and you're ending up in the dirt. There's no more dirt there. So those 50-50 field goals now should turn into automatic, as long as there's not a heavy winds out in Oakland, which I don't think there is. But that's a key ingredient there. So I would think in that environment that you should get some points, and we'll see what takes place. But as betting the Oakland Raiders and just saying everybody and their grandmama's on Indianapolis, I don't believe in that strategy. But again, Oakland is a fractured team. What do you get out of them? Do they care at this point? I think Derek Carr is going to care. I think John Gruden's going to care and dial up some plays. Most wide receivers care, but how about the defense? How dialed up are they when they're saying, like, look, man, Carl Joseph, wherever it is, I'm on the trading block as well. I'm fighting for a contract for next year. They don't really care about me. What's my effort going to be? I always like to bring up when the Giants went on the road, I believe it was last year, to play the San Francisco 49ers. That was quite embarrassing effort. They didn't feel like tackling, ended up losing that game because nobody was interested. They knew the head football coach was eventually going to be fired, and they just straight up quit. That was the games where they're calling Eli Apple cancers. Jack Rabbit didn't care about tackling anybody out there. If you get that type of game from the Oakland Raiders, you're going to be in trouble where nobody cares, and you might get that in that game out here. Rob Marks says, Oakland, hey, look, man, I'm not taking it. But if you do and cash in on that, you would be the better man to me. Emza, late to the show. My loss. You can always play it back as well. We're just having some fun in here, just rolling a solo mission. My Eagles got the victory today. I know the big man got down on the Eagles late last night at -3, sweated it out the whole way, which you always do. Only had one play in college football last night, sweated it out like I always do. But that's the way it is when you bet, man. It's the life we live. Why are the Redskins only -1, Donnie, says Hal Abrams. Yeah, we covered that football game, and I think you can figure out why in that game. You have a key ingredient now down at cornerback. One team. Look, the Redskins usually aren't the burners on offense. And if you're not a burner on offense, that bad football team is usually going to hang around, especially at home. And that's what you have to watch out for there. How about the Kentucky game? Yeah, Kentucky game was crazy yesterday as well. It was a good game. Stay away from Oakland. Don't trust it. Yeah, look, I don't trust it either. I'm down with taking a home dog at times, but if the home dog doesn't feel like barking, it's not really a home dog that I'm really interested in. Redskins -1, Public slamming the Skins. Yes, they are. About 70% or more. Pinnacle now -1, -103. Intertop still showing a -1.5 out there. So we'll see if that line swings over. Let's see if we got any late line movement. Just going over some lines here. Pittsburgh still staying the same, 8, 8.5 across the board. Kansas City, Chris now showing a -8, which I agree with. I thought that 10 was a little bit ridiculous. That was showing up earlier in the week. New York Jets still showing at 8, 8.5, over under 42 in that range. Not much movement in that Washington game just yet. We haven't crossed over the 3.5 threshold, but we're showing Chris -3, -120 in that Detroit game. And look, a little bit of money coming in on Tampa Bay, -3.5, -101. So I would figure anything. I told you, anything over 3.5, I think Tampa Bay might be able to stay in that football game to get after it. But getting back to the Oakland Raiders game, I think Oakland should be able to sling it on offense. I think Andrew Luck should have a decent time on offense. I don't think 51 or 50.5 is that egregious of a number. And as I said again, shouldn't be any dirt out on the field today. She should get a much more clean game. No snapping it off the dirt. No running it off the dirt. No dropping back and losing your footing in the dirt. No snaps in the dirt. No placing the ball for a field goal in the dirt. Trust me, helps a lot in that situation. 269, 270, the game that I guess we have to talk about. 425 out on the West Coast, San Francisco, Arizona. Beathard and Rosen. So, close to 70% of the people are betting one way in this game. It's on the road team, San Francisco, who got shellacked last week. But look, Arizona's doing some historically ridiculous things on offense, and not in a good way. They can't get David Johnson the football in space. They're running him into a brick wall, it seems like, directly up the middle. They fire their offensive coordinator. Not very many weapons at wide receiver. Young rookie quarterback you're trying to break in. And the young rookie quarterback that you're trying to break in, folks, he's hurt too. And all of a sudden, Brian Leftwich is going to come in and have that magic elixir out there. Is going to just give everybody a couple drops, and they're going to move up and down the field is what you're anticipating. Not too sure what's going to happen. But again, I'm not too sure that I'm laying 2.5 now. I mean, money is racing on the San Francisco 49ers. Opened up at a pick 'em. Now you're seeing 2.5. It's pretty much across the board. Over under in that game, 40.5. That's about right. CJ Beathard, the better quarterback than Josh Rosen this time? Yes. Better play caller at this time, Kyle Shanahan? Yes. Maybe more engaged of a football team, the 49ers in Arizona? Yes. You still have to go on the road and win. Let's not forget, San Francisco really outplayed Arizona at home and ended up losing that game by double digits. Arizona did nothing in that football game outside of a wide open 80-yard touchdown pass about midway through the first half, I believe, and did nothing the rest of the game and ended up winning by double digits. That game was an anomaly. Do I think San Francisco's better? Yes. Do I want to bet this football game? No, it won't be anywhere near it here. Eric Solstani, what site do you use for the public numbers? There's a lot of them out there. Sports Options, Sports Insights, sportsbookreview.com. Go to sbrodds.com. There's a lot of different sites that will give you the public and, who's actually betting what and what side it is. So there's a lot of stuff out there, both free and both pay. But we always recommend using sbrodds.com for that situation. But what do you guys like? I mean, does anybody like this game? Does anybody just say, yo, man, Stone cold, man, Arizona home going to rise up and get this victory. Leftwich is just going to dial up play after play after play. Like, does anybody out there even have like a theory on this game or one way that they would be leaning yes or no in this game? Because I don't. Like, look, I don't even want this game on my TV. If this shows up on the red zone on my TV, I'm going to be pretty upset. Because the only thing I want to see at 4 o'clock, at 4:25, is the Green Bay Rams game. I don't give a damn about that Oakland game at 4:05. It stinks. I don't give a damn about San Francisco, Arizona. That stinks. Night game's going to be pretty good. But why should you even put it? Red zone just be dedicated to that game. But I believe the national game anyway is going to be the Green Bay Packers and the Los Angeles Rams in that one. So, Donnie, how about them Eagles? I took -3 last night when I heard a couple of Jags rested. Bill, congratulations on that. That worked very well for you there. Didn't affect it overall the play on the field, but the psyche to watch, just another thing that you have to watch out for, right? You say, God damn it. Like, why are we popping? Like, pop bottles on Wednesday. Why are you popping bottles 36 hours or whatever before the game and getting in trouble? That shows you exactly, because Eagles went on this road trip, and say what you want. They have a curfew. They abide by the curfew. They're on a business trip. They need to win a football game. Jacksonville's going over there and popping bottles at the club all night long and running up $50,000 bar tabs. You tell me who went on this trip to win a football game, or you went on this trip like it was some vacation out there. So that has to be something to be said about that. Arizona 17-0 in the spot, Mark Lawrence. But the only problem with that is it's not all the same. Like, am I getting Bruce Arians? Am I getting Kurt Warner? Like, who am I getting back there? Like, who's my guy? Am I getting Larry Fitzgerald from 2009? Am I getting a lights-out defense? Is Todd Bowles coaching my defense up over here? Is Todd Haley running the offensive coordinator along with Bruce Arians? There's a lot to be said about that. Like, you can't just, to me, that type of betting. Look, if it wins, and that's fantastic. But if you're going to ask me about a game that was played in 1997 or 2008, I'm going to tell you to jam it, man, because it has absolutely zero bearing on today's football game. New head coach, new regime, new quarterback, new offensive coordinator today. Nothing is the same for Arizona to be in any type of spot there. Then I'd like to over in the Packers and the Rams. Look, we're going to get to that game in a second. And, let's just get to it now, because that San Francisco-Arizona game is just corny, to say the least, at this point. I mean, no doubt about it. 271-272. Rodgers, Goff. Maybe the play that I think the actual game of the day is going to come a little bit later tonight, which we'll go over in a few moments here. Opens up at 57. Now we're seeing 57s across the board still, 56.5. I think some people are going to come into this football game and just think it's going to be all out aerial assault. And I technically agree with you there. But that still doesn't mean you cover close to 60 points. Look, shooting it at, I don't know, 31-24 is a shootout in the NFL. Doesn't get it done. You're going to need both teams to play into the 30s. Can they do it? Yes. You saw it in the Rams game or the Chiefs game a couple weeks ago. One of those high over-unders. One team hit 45 and it didn't even go over. But Aaron Rodgers has more weapons today. I get that. But also that the Packers defense is getting healthier, getting a couple DBs back. The Rams defense should be engaged in this football game. And yes, there will be a lot of passing in this game. But it should be a fun game to watch overall. But I'm not going to advocate taking over-unders in the NFL 57. You got to get in the 60s basically to win that bet. And that's coming from a guy that thinks there's going to be a lot of points in this game. One thing goes down. You missed. You're out. One tip deflection in the red zone. You lost. I mean, that's just the way it is. Now, from a side perspective, your line opens up at 10, which I thought was egregious to open up at. But then I wanted to start scratching my head saying, am I missing something here with injuries? Aaron Rodgers should be rested. Their defense should be a little bit better because they're rested and getting healthier. You're getting some wide receivers back. And it's Aaron Rodgers. You're giving Aaron Rodgers over 7. Now, if you're looking at this game and saying, well, let's just take a look at what they were doing before this ball game. Hasn't been pretty for the Green Bay Packers. And I actually thought the San Francisco 49ers on the road playing the Packers at home were the better football team in that game. But you can't take those two games and, well, let's just translate it over and, the Rams will dial up, whatever they want on offense and score. I don't think that's the case. But the one thing in this game that if the Green Bay Packers are down in this game by 10 points, right? No doubt in my mind, Rodgers going down the field against a prevent defense with 4 minutes to go, right? I mean, Todd Gurley's going to have a big way in this game. Probably looking at, well over 100 yards rushing. I think he's the best running back in football. But it all comes what do you expect out of this game? Because if you're looking at this cover, I don't think it's going to be 31-21 per se. I do think that it's going to be a really close football game where Green Bay was in it the whole way and just doesn't cover or wins the game outright. Or the Rams just dial it up and bust them by 14 plus. I mean, that's just the way I see it in this one. But if you're just going to go out and say, look, man, you're going to give Aaron Rodgers over a touchdown, I can't fault you for that. But I also can't fault you for saying, no, look at the way they played this year. They lost by double digits on the road to the Washington Redskins. They haven't played well in just about every single ball game except for at home against the Buffalo Bills, who couldn't do anything anyway. The Rams are in another stratosphere, and you're watching everything. It's going to be pristine conditions in Los Angeles. So it should be a lot of fun to watch at 4 o'clock, but I would lean on taking the points here. Looks like it's down to 7.5 at most outlets. If you got it early in the week, congratulations. If you got it at 8 or more, that's even better because you keep the 2-point conversions out of play. But yeah, that's the way I would lean in that football game, but I'm not advocating for taking a 57. I don't even have a play on that. I wouldn't even want to lean in any direction because I do think there's points, but I'm not giving out over 57. That's just pretty egregious. Can it get there? Yes, but I'm certainly not giving that away. Night game, best game on the card. Last one we'll go over real quick. 273 274, New Orleans, Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins. What's not to like about it? I think New Orleans is showing you they can do it all on offense. You want to get physical with them to run the football. You want them to throw the football, they can do it. 3rd and 1, you want to take Drew Brees out and put in a backup quarterback who's going to run Wildcat and get it damn near every single time in Taysom Hill. They're doing it. They're doing everything. They're so multifaceted on offense, it's hard to stop. Is it going to be a revenge game? I don't buy into any revenge game from last year. The professional athletes are not circling this game, so I can't wait to go to Minnesota. They're worried about winning what? You don't think they cared about going to Baltimore and picking up that win last week in comeback fashion? Going on the road back-to-back 2 straight weeks, that is going to be tough, yes. But I think they're built for it. And I think that line shows them respect. Opened up -2.5 for Minnesota, swung completely over to the New Orleans Saints. In this game, I'll be leaning Saints in this one, -2, -1.5, whatever you can get. I think New Orleans is the better football team here. I think Xavier Rhodes' injury, if he's not 100%, that's devastating. Barr is your best playmaking Pro Bowl linebacker. He's not going to play in this football game. Linville Joseph's banged up. You got some guys banged up on the offensive line. No Dalvin Cook. And against a pretty good run defense overall when you look at the New Orleans Saints. Can they hold up on the back end? I mean, look, Thielen and Diggs are going to make plays. Kirk Cousins is going to make plays. But give me Drew Brees, and give me Drew Brees in a dome when that team looks like it's looking on the up and up, and they can play at any length. This isn't your pretty boy New Orleans Saints. We have to throw it to win it. They can grind you out with that offensive line and power running game and throwing Kamara in there. They can do it all, and I think they'll do it tonight. And that line shows ultimate respect to the New Orleans Saints. I think they get it done out there. Yes, Mack and Robinson are out and inactive. Over under that game, 54, there should be points in that game. But New Orleans has shown they don't need to just go out there and say we could shoot it out. They can absolutely grind in that football game. So not really feeling too good in that one. But if we're taking a look overall at some plays today, It's hard for Pittsburgh to maybe cover full game that you'd be looking at, but I think if it's 8, they're the better football team. They're rested, and I don't know how much Cleveland's going to have to offer playing a road game last week in overtime. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can get that done. Let's keep sliding it down here. I don't like KC per se so much. I like Denver more a little bit early in the week at 10, but you're looking at another sharp play with the New York Giants. That might be a viable option. I like the over in the Seattle game. I think that could be decent there. I think the Bucs can keep it close, 3.5, 4, whatever you can get in that football game. I think that's a decent one. And later in the afternoon, I think the Green Bay Packers getting the points at 7.5, 8, whatever you got. I think they can be good as well. 5 minutes before game time, we'll wrap it up here, and we will be back on. I'll be back on at halftime here. About 15, 20-minute quick show there. We'll update what's going on in the first half, some second half numbers, maybe some late inactives late in the day. But I'll be watching football. The Philadelphia Eagles already got the win, so a little bit of pressure off my back. I can actually watch and really get into some of ththese other football games instead of stressing against my Eagles. I know the big man on campus probably watching out here right now. Congratulations, homeboy. I'm taking the field. Oh, what? Hold on. That was such a homer play. Jeff didn't even cap that football game. He just took the Eagles because he liked them. A winner is a winner. We'll be back on at the half, so make sure you stay tuned to that. We'll have a little bit of fun and go over a certain few games. But gave my picks and previews. Thanks for rolling along with me on the solo mission here at sportsbookreview.com. Check out sportsbookreview.com, sbrodds.com. Give us a follow at SBR Sports Picks on Twitter. And once again, hit that subscribe button because when we go on the half, it's a quick show. You don't know when it's going to happen. Get that alert so you can join me in the chat box. We'll have some fun. Donnie Rightside hosting the show. Catch you at halftime.